We're learning today the man accused of brutally attacking House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul, with a hammer was in the U.S. illegally. He's Canadian, and now he may be deported. CNN's Veronica Miracle is following these developments for us. Veronica, what more are you learning about what David DePape was doing in the U.S. in the first place?
Well, Anna, we understand, according to federal records, that David DePape was a Canadian citizen who was here on a temporary visa. We're told that he entered the country through the California-Mexico border back in March. Now, Canadian residents are allowed to be in the U.S. on temporary visas for up to 6 months at a time, but those federal records state that he overstayed that visa. So ICE has issued a detainer on him, which essentially means that they've asked authorities to notify them in the case that he were to ever be released. Anna?
So how could this development impact the case?
So we understand that this is really unlikely to have an impact on his case immediately. These immigration issues are often resolved after criminal issues are settled. So in the case that he were to ever be deported and the U.S. were to seek that, that would happen after a potential conviction and after a potential prison sentence. Anna, DePape pleaded and entered not guilty pleas for all of his felony charges that the state has issued him, including assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, burglary, elder abuse, among others. He faces up to 13 years and to life in prison for those charges. And Congresswoman Jackie Spears has actually said that the state could consider charging him with a hate crime. Here's what the San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins had to say about that possibility.
Of course, we'll be looking into everything that we believe is a crime that he violated. At this point, that is not something that we saw fit to charge, but we certainly, as well as the federal government, will be looking at what charges we will proceed on going forward.
Anna, DePape is also facing 2 federal charges for which he has not entered pleas on, and he faces up to 50 years in federal prison for just those 2 charges. Tomorrow is going to be the next step in his court proceedings here for those state charges. We understand that he is not expected to be in court. It's going to be more of a procedural hearing where they're going to be setting dates for the next step in this in those state charges and what he's facing there. Anna?
Georgia was at the center of Trump's effort to overturn the election, and that's why the state stays in the news. The Supreme Court just handed a big loss to Lindsey Graham, ruling he must testify in that Georgia probe. Now, newly leaked emails show Trump's lawyers had a strategy hoping Thomas might be their only chance to overthrow Trump's loss on the Supreme Court because he oversees appeals out of Georgia. Here's the quote. Our only chance to get a favorable judicial opinion by January 6th, which could hold up the Georgia count in Congress, is from Thomas. That's what one Trump lawyer wrote. While the coup lawyer, John Eastman, replied, I agree. It may be enough to kick the Georgia legislature into gear. That's the same John Eastman whose phone was later seized by the FBI and pled the Fifth over 100 times facing Congress.
Is that statement in this memo true? If President Trump authorized you to discuss publicly your January 4th, 2021 conversation with him. If you will not discuss those same conversations with this committee.
Fifth, and a phone search. Eastman has a lot of legal problems. These leaks, though, they put heat on him because they show the intent was, long after the states were done and the Electoral College met, the intent was still to steal the election. Whatever phone those agents seized is being reviewed by the authorities. And as for the line in here, this is important in terms of what just leaked. This line, kick the Georgia legislator into gear. Well, that doubles all the way back to the top of the White House, where Donald Trump wanted to abuse DOJ power to try to force Georgia's legislature back into session to steal the race. It sounds outlandish, unlikely, even those local Republicans weren't willing to do it. But the emails show how high this plot went. And if people in the White House were trying to literally do that, at what point do they have criminal liability in Georgia? That's the big question. We'll stay on it. Hey, I'm Ari Melber. Thanks for watching The Beat. I wanted to let you know I'm writing a foreword to the January 6th committee's full report, which is coming out soon from HarperCollins. You can go pre-order the book right now, and it'll come to you first when the report comes out in the fall or whenever the government releases it. Just search Melber Jan 6th on Amazon or your favorite independent book site and click pre-order. You'll be the first to get both the report and my new piece on the coup conspiracy. You can also go to melberbook.com and order it there.
So shut up and let me slap you, dumb. You're not gonna slap me. Give me my phone. You have your phone.
Chilling audio, prosecutors say, illustrates the toxic relationship between social media model Courtney Clenny and her boyfriend Christian Obumseli. In this next clip, Clenny can be heard screaming, cursing, and using a racial slur, seemingly angry that Obumseli said hello to another woman on a bike ride and didn't tell her about it.
You literally talked to her without telling me! Courtney, I was on a bike ride and she passed me and I said, hi, you and Courtney are having a live chat. My bad, I forgot to tell you that. That doesn't make you to act and call me a You're a Yes, thank you. Coming from Courtney, thank you. I want you to get away from me!
The recordings were made by Obumseli seemingly in secret, sometime before he was stabbed in the chest by Clenny in April. Clenny claims it was self-defense.
Decide whether or not you're done gaslighting.
I am mad that you told me to come.
Decide right now.
Courtney, that's a I asked you so many times that I don't know, and I apologize. But you hit me.
Shut the up.
Also released today, new photos showing the bloody crime scene in the apartment and elevator. Clenny's body apparently covered in Obumseli's blood. The pictures and audio evidence in discovery. NBC6 obtained them through a public records request. Clenny is in jail charged with second-degree murder. Clenny's attorneys from the beginning have maintained that she was the victim. In a statement, Clenny's attorneys argue the release of evidence will make it impossible to get a fair trial, saying in part, quote, she's not going to trial for her lifestyle, her previous arguments, or recorded rants. She's going to trial for defending herself.
We have breaking news out of Wisconsin. The deputy director of the Milwaukee Election Commission has been fired after fraudulently requesting absentee ballots. Let's bring in NBC's Shaquille Brewster, who's covering this story for us from Merrill, Wisconsin. Shaq, what's going on there?
Well, we just heard from the DA's office, Chris, saying that this is now a criminal matter and that charges are likely to be filed in the coming days. But this was an unannounced press conference from the mayor of Milwaukee, who was standing with the director of the Milwaukee Elections Commission. And apparently it was an attempt to expose a vulnerability in the state's election law. We heard from the mayor that the deputy director of Milwaukee Election Commission fraudulently requested military ballots using a state website. The mayor suggesting that she did this in her own time. She did this privately, not while working, but she sent those absentee ballots to a state lawmaker, a Republican state lawmaker, who has been trying to expose this vulnerability in state law and who has cast doubt on the 2020 election. So we don't know the political affiliation of this state, of this Milwaukee election official who is now fired, but she sent these ballots to a Republican state lawmaker, essentially trying to prove a point. As I mentioned, the DA's office said that this is a criminal investigation at this point, that charges are likely to be filed in the future. She has since been fired. The mayor was pretty strong in his comments, saying that this was a breach of trust. As soon as they found out, the mayor says, she was fired. Her access to all systems and election systems were revoked. And they made clear at this point in this investigation, as they continue on with their investigation, it does not appear as that this impacts any absentee voting or any existing vote count in the city of Milwaukee. But this was an attempt, according to the mayor, to show and highlight a vulnerability in state law, Chris.
Just getting a bit more details of that shooting near to the convoy of Imran Khan as he continues that convoy to Islamabad. We're hearing that BBC Urdu is confirming that he has been injured in the shooting incident. Very little detail coming through, but it's understood that he has sustained bullet injuries after an unknown man opened fire. And according to Geo News, he sustained bullet injuries on his leg. According to the police, the suspect who opened fire on the vehicle, the open-topped vehicle that he was travelling in, has been arrested, and several other people, including the PTI leader Faisal Javed, also sustained injuries. And the India Today is quoting Ari News as also reporting those details about him being injured in the leg, and saying that soon after the incident, Imran Khan was transferred to a bulletproof vehicle. He had been travelling in an open-top vehicle during the rally. So those details coming through, and we'll of course keep you updated as we get any more.